So how are we all doing? Everyone good? Did you all enjoy that thing this morning with the reification and so on? So that process, by the way, just so we have the all the terminology and stuff in place. We'll put it here. That's called the revivification. You're bringing experience back to life again. You don't need to remember the name too much, but it's just hypnotic terminology in case you're interested in that. And rest assured, you'll be getting a manual with lots of notes and stuff after the lunch break. So all the terminology, all those ideas will be in that. You actually need to take no notes if you don't want to. And you're welcome to take notes as well if you do. All right, so what I'd like to do now is take this idea of a revivification, and let me ask you this. As the subject, did you notice how those experiences really did come back to life for you? You really were transported back to that event and got to enjoy it to some extent again. Would that be fair to say? Yes? As a subject, did you hear your hypnotist sometimes using the past tense, you were here doing that, and sometimes using the present tense, you are here doing this? Yes? Was there a difference in your experience when they used one tense over the other? Yes or no? Overall, would it be fair to say that the difference that you experienced was that in the present tense, it felt more real, more now, more present to you, kind of accentuated for you? Would that be fair to say? And in the past tense, it became more distant, more like a memory than an experience. Would that be fair to say? And these are tendencies, I realize. So that's the reason why we switch from the past to the present tense, to bring it into the present more, to the experience more. It tells them, don't just have a memory of it, re-experience it now. Right? And you're doing that subtly, kind of in the background, through the use of language. Makes sense? What I want to do now is see if we can actually bring other experiences to life. Right? I have no doubt that it'll be easy for you guys, because what you just did there is exactly the same thing. What I want you to do, I'm going to give you just 2 minutes to do this, is find a partner, ask them about a pleasant experience that they've had in nature. I want a scene from nature, mountain, beach, lake, it doesn't really matter what. Ask them, just in a kind of conversational thing, and just take note of the 2 or 3 or 4 key elements that they talk about. It might be this beautiful lake, the calm lake. It might be the temperature of the air or a little wind. It might be a sound. Just take note of those 2, 3, or 4 key elements that they throw out when they're describing that scene. Does that make sense to you guys? You'll only need about a minute or so each. So if I give you 3 minutes as a group, as a pair, you should be able to get through the whole thing. If they start ranting on about things, stop them and just check the key pieces so you have it at the end of that minute and a half. Everyone understand what we're talking about? Yep? So we're going to do both sides. So a minute and a half each, 3 minutes in total. We're going to start putting the time pressure on a bit. Just get the information, nothing else. Only information, or write it down or memorize it, whichever you prefer. All right, was that easy? Given the hubbub in the room, I presume you got some pretty cool details about their, naturist adventure. So what I'm going to do now is this. You have a list of at least 2 or 3 key ideas. It might be a tree they saw, or a feeling they had, something they experienced there, and so on. Will that be fair to say? Right? You can have up to 6 or 7 of them, but it doesn't really matter too much. But we have at least 2 or 3, correct? So what I want you to do with that same partner now is I want you to invite them to just close their eyes, and I want you to do exactly the same thing you did with the revivification exercise, only instead of asking them any questions about their experience, offer these little experiences that they've given you as suggestions. So for example, if they said, oh, I was at this lake, it was in Mount Tahoe, I don't know if they have a mountain there, who knows. And the tree was like this huge, beautiful tree, and it was swaying in the wind, and there was a beautiful sunny day, and I just sat there and I watched the tree and I felt great, right? That's a simple little scene, right? So then you'd say something like, all right, close your eyes and take yourself to a place where there's this huge tree. A huge tree. There is that tree swaying in the breeze. And you're basically doing the same stuff as the revivification, only this time you're not asking any question. You're describing their own scene back to them using the kinds of information that they presented to you. Does that make sense to you guys? At the end of which, you may as well let them just rest in there for a while, whilst their unconscious mind makes it easy for them to learn hypnosis. And just leave it really open-ended like that. Bring them back, and it's their go. Easy to do. Should be fun. You'll both be going through this, so please keep an eye on time. I'm going to give you both 3 minutes apiece to do this, so 6 minutes in total. Off you go. H+, folks, H+. So how are you guys doing? Did you enjoy that? Yes. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause. You deserve it. Who's starting to find it almost impossible to tell whether the person they're working with has had previous hypnotic experience? Yeah? Isn't it getting like, I don't know, who cares, right? Did you enjoy the trance they just created for you? Now, there is something called a guided visualization where you take people through these wonderful scenes and so on. I think they're wonderful things. Some hypnotherapists stay well clear of them. They go, oh, you can't do a guided visualization because you don't know if it's going to be bad for them, right? Well, that comes from the old school or from the mindset where you're going to decide up front what that one visualization is. It's going to be typically a beach trip because people like the beach, it seems. And then it's one size fits all, right? And there's nothing wrong with that approach, except for if the person has an issue with the beach. Maybe they have a phobia of water or whatever it is, right? So this is a real easy way to create exactly the same experience. You just talk to them a little bit up front, and you use their own experience right back at them. Now let me ask you this. How many of you, when you had that experience reflected back to you as an induction, spontaneously created a new scene? In other words, didn't go back to the memory. You created something which was similar, but somehow a little bit new. Anyone? Okay? So about half the room maybe, close to it. So what do you think is going to happen if you talk to them about several experiences that were pleasant for them, and then mix the core elements of them? You're going to create a brand new scene that's going to be filled with nothing but positive things. Wouldn't that be fair to say? This is traditionally known as a place of safety. I like to call it sanctuary because you're safe from the outside world. So what we're going to do in a moment is exactly this. You're going to have a 3-minute conversation. And it's 3 minutes because I want you to talk about maybe 3 different reference experiences. And I'd like at least one of them, preferably all 3 of them, to be a scene in nature. And I'll explain why in a little bit later on. So 3 experiences. And just like you did with that one, you're going to just tease out 2, 3, 4 key things they saw, felt, heard, experiences that seem to have the most juice in them. Do you know what I mean? They get most animated. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful scene. And there's a little tree there, right? Which of the 2 do you think you're going to be spending more time on? Right? A tree, of course, yeah. So you pay attention to those things, get 2 or 3 per memory. You're going to have to work fast because 3 minutes means 1 minute per memory. So there's no time to waste here. And then we'll come back and we'll actually use this to build a brand new place for them that they can be safe in. Now the key here is when you're asking for a scene in nature, which basically it puts constraints on which memories they're allowed to select. You're also going to ask one where you felt safe, where you felt free, where you felt like, you know, you were the top of the world, or that like, the world there was no harm for you or anything like that. So whatever way you want to express it, you want to make sure that safety is part of the experience that they're talking about. Does that make sense? Any questions? You have 3 minutes apiece, 6 minutes in total. Both of you will have a go. Quick question here.
Can somebody tell us to switch because time?
Can someone tell you to switch? What I will do is I will put a clock up on the wall. However, as hypnotherapists, you're going to start having to run your own sessions. You have an hour or sometimes an hour and a half, depending on how you set it. You need to be controlling your time as well. So you need to have that little bit of half idea. Would it be useful if I put a time up on the wall here? I will not call you to switch though as a therapist, so you need to have enough, shall we say, regular consciousness left over that you occasionally look up at the wall. Does that make sense to you guys? So let me change this. 3 minutes a person, so 6 minutes in total, so each person has a go. If you wish to switch people, Actually, you know what? Let's make it that way. The more experience you get with different people, the better. So find a different partner, sit down quietly, and then I'll know to start the clock. Do not begin until the room is quiet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put 6 minutes on the clock. I'm going to have the top one is a count down, the bottom one is a count up. So when they both hit 3 minutes, you're ready to switch, right? All I'm looking for is the information. No induction yet. Just the information. 3 minutes is more than plenty to do that. But you have to control your client so you get the information you're looking for and you cut them short when they're giving you anything extra. Does that make sense, folks? Yeah. All right, folks, your 3 minutes starts, or your 6 minutes starts now. Okay, was it easy to get the information? Yeah? Did you notice how people have a tendency to want to ramble on? But when you are focused, especially because there's a time crunch, on getting specific information, you can basically pause them, just get what you want or what you need for the induction, and then let them carry on with some other parts so you can keep doing that, right? And it requires a little bit of skill because it's easy to let them ramble on, doesn't it? Right? Good. It's an important skill to have as a therapist, to be able to separate what's important in terms of what they're saying and what's just going to waste your time, right? Okay, so, where are we here? Let's go back to this. So you have at least 4 or 5 experiential points, whether it's a tree or a breeze, something they felt, something they saw, something they heard, which are from different scenes. Is that correct, folks? Yes? Okay. And as you did a moment ago, you could very easily just ask them to close their eyes and go to a new place and then describe those elements together so that they form spontaneously a brand new scene. That's easy to do, isn't it? Yes. Right? And because you've been focusing on places that have the idea of safety included, then one would assume, and you can experience it for yourself in a moment, there's a place where they can be safe. Is that correct? So you may as well remind them of that. Suggest it, and it will be more true than if you didn't. Make sense? There's one last thing I would like you to add, which is that little word, orient. It has nothing to do with Asia. Well, you could take them to a scene in China if you wanted, that's fine. What I want to do is, seeing as I'm a lazy hypnotist, I don't want to do all the work. So I'm going to ask my client for their memories so that I don't have to make up this wonderful safe place for them. I get to just lift it out of their memories, right? They do all the work. I also want them to take responsibility for the trance. I'm going to put in a hidden test. That's what the orientation is about. Essentially, all you're going to do is when they're in trance, is you set the scene, they're enjoying and so on, you're going to make an ambiguous statement, something like, there's something over there. Over where? It's as though you're with them. So there's something over there. Can you see what it is yet? Or have you noticed what it is yet? Right? Or look to your left quickly. Do you notice that red thing? What is that? And initially, well, most people will say, oh, it's whatever it is, write it down. Some people might go, I'm not sure. And what do you do at that point? That's right, you're not sure yet. But look a bit more closely. Maybe if you walk in that direction, you'll begin to make it out more clearly. So you're going to encourage them until they discover something there that was not there before. Does that make sense? Now, the key thing here is you, as a hypnotist, have no idea what that is. You will pretend to know, but you will not suggest it. Does that make sense? Easy to do? Any questions? It'll make more sense when you actually do it. All right, folks, let's go with 4 minutes apiece to set the scene. Whoop, we don't want the calculator. I'm guessing we're not doing math today. I'm going to give you 4 minutes apiece to set the scene. Oh, what happened there? Okay. So 4 minutes apiece to set the scene and get an orienting response. So once they have told you what it is that they saw or noticed or found there, let them drift and enjoy the place for a while, and make sure that before your 4 minutes are up, you end the trance to give them a full chance to do the same thing with you. Does that make sense? So hypnotists, be very alert with your times. Turn to your subject. Your time starts now. So how are you guys doing? Did you enjoy that? Yes. Who enjoyed that as a subject, having the experience of something like this? Yeah? Was that something else? So what do we do with all this? Who would like to find out? Right? Who would like to find out up here? Come on up. Give a round of applause, folks. Can I have an assistant here, please, to hold the mic? Can I have an assistant up here to hold the mic, please? Anyone? Assistant? No, don't worry. You get to watch this properly. Come, run, rabbit, run. There you go. Whichever way we just face it. He's got to be close to his mouth so he can talk. But don't worry, you can ignore him. He'll just do natural adjustments. So, for Andrew or Andy?
Andrew.
Andrew, good. You never know because we make the badges up before we meet you, right? So you had a pleasant experience just now with a whole new scene, shall we say, being brought to life for you?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that scene?
Yeah, I was thinking about the time that I had climbed up to the mountain next to Machu Picchu.
So you're in a mountain next to Machu Picchu?
Yes.
Yeah? And what other things were in the new scene now that you were going through?
The new scene that I was going through had, it was more of it went through a stream.
So you went through a stream?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
It was following along a path next to this stream.
Oh, cool. So there's a stream and there's a path following next to the stream. And what else was present?
The rocks that were in the stream and...
So the rocks in the stream and...
The flowers that I was seeing, or the birds that I was seeing in the
Beautiful.
trees as well.
So you had a path next to a stream, and there are rocks in the stream with the streams rushing by it, and there's some birds and the trees next to you and so on. Is that right?
Yeah.
Are we starting already? You know, something tells me you might enjoy this a little more if you close your eyes. And I want you to realize that you will hear sounds all around you, but those sounds will just help you focus more on the sound of that stream and those rocks. Of course, my voice, that's right. My voice will continue with you to guide you through this experience, to make sure you're safe at all times. And you are safe, you know that, don't you? Feel that chair now, know you're safe. That's right. And take yourself to that path by the stream, a place where you are absolutely safe and secure. What a wonderful place to be, isn't it? And there are rocks over there. And that sound of the water, mingled with birds, over there by the trees. Look over there for a moment. What is that over there? Have you spotted it yet?
I can't tell what it is.
You can't tell where it is yet, can you? But you can sense where it is, can you not?
Mm-hmm.
So move a little closer and notice how it becomes clearer to you. There. Have you seen what it is yet?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
It's a rock with moss.
A rock with moss. A rock with moss. And you didn't know it was going to be there, did you? That's right. Pleasant to know. Now, something else you will find in this vicinity, something else you didn't know would be here, is that there is going to be some kind of a path or something that's going to lead you somewhere else, to another place. Now, don't look for it yet, because you'll know this place when you find it, and it's going to take you somewhere very important, to another place, another scene, something you might even not have expected either. But when you get to this place, you will find something else, something that symbolizes something of tremendous importance to you. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Have you found the path yet?
Uh-huh.
What's it look like?
It's a small dirt path that leads to a little cave-like
Beautiful.
opening.
So there's that path and the cave in the distance. In a moment, I will count from 1, or rather from 10, down to 1. With each number that I count, I'd like you to walk down that path into the cave. By the time I count to number 1, you will be deep enough in that cave to discover something of tremendous importance to you. Something is waiting for you there, Andrew. Waiting for you to discover it. And when you do, it will be of tremendous importance to you. You understand what I mean by that, don't you? You ready to take that journey?
Yeah.
10. Stepping on that path, 9. Moving away from the river. 8. Closer to that cave opening. 7. 6. The scenery changing, that's right. 5. The anticipation of coming to the cave. 4. Noticing how the light changes as you get close to the entrance. 3. 2. And 1. Step inside that now. Step inside. What do you see? What do you sense?
Places to sit on rocks.
There's a place to sit on the rocks. Do you want to sit on it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and sit there for a moment. And as you do, send your senses around you and notice where that symbol is waiting for you. That thing you've come here to find. Have you discovered it yet?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Flashlight.
A flashlight. A flashlight right there, isn't it? And you didn't know it would be there, did you?
No.
Do you know what it means? That's right. What's happened now?
It feels like I know why flashlight's there.
It feels like you know why the flashlight is there, doesn't it? It feels like you know. But has your intellect caught up to it yet?
Not fully.
That's right. That's right. The flashlight is there, and it means something. You can feel that, can you not? And it's growing stronger, that sense, is it not? And yet, your mind does not quite know yet what this all means. But there, that's it. That's it. What's happening now?
Flashlight's on.
The flashlight's on.
Uh-huh.
How does it make you feel?
Capable.
Capable. The flashlight's on, and you're feeling capable. What a wonderful gift. What a wonderful gift. Are you enjoying that flashlight?
Mm-hmm.
Are you enjoying that sense of being capable?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening now, Andrew?
There's books.
There are books, aren't there? Because the flashlight, that was only the beginning, wasn't it? That's right, there we go. What was that?
I don't know.
You don't know, do you? But it was good, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
It was good. And it took you to find the flashlight and turn it on. Feel capable to find those books and have that experience. All this waiting for you. And you had no idea it was here, did you?
Mm-mm.
How are you feeling right now?
Really relaxed.
Feeling relaxed. How are you feeling about this whole scene that's been awaiting you? Is there something more for you to learn here?
Yeah.
That's right, there is, isn't there? And what does it involve? That sense of something waiting for you here. Discovering something of tremendous importance to you, Andrew. Mm-hmm. Tremendous importance. The flashlight was the beginning. And the books. Right there, the books. And the flashlight.
No.
Waiting. What's that?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Knowledge, right there. And paying attention to the books and the flashlight. Paying attention to how capable you feel in the presence of that knowledge. And I'm wondering, have you worked out yet what it is that your unconscious mind has prepared for you here? Why this scene is here for you? There you go. That's it. That's it. I have a feeling you discovered something. Would I be right?
Yeah.
What just happened?
I've read the books.
You read the books. You read the
Flashlight
books.
is a way
The flashlight.
to get out.
That's right. The flashlight is your way to get out, isn't it? And you read those books. And you have that knowledge, do you not? How does it feel to have had this experience?
Nice.
It is nice, isn't it? It is nice. Does it feel complete yet, Andrew? Or is there something left for you to do? Or does it feel complete there?
To leave cave and explore.
To leave the cave and explore. And is this an exploration that you wish to do right now, or is that for a later moment in time?
I don't know.
Just rest a moment with that flashlight, looking at those books. There you go. And you'll know whether this is the start of something that you need to finish now or in your own time.
Yeah.
What was that?
Take the flashlight
Take the
outside
Mm-hmm.
and explore.
And explore. Go ahead and head outside. There, what's that? Now you found it, haven't you? What's that?
The exploring is doing.
Exploring is doing, isn't it, Andrew? Exploring is doing. And you have a better understanding of that now than you've had before, do you not? What a wonderful gift from your unconscious mind. Explore thoroughly and enjoy it. Taking all the lessons you need from this. Knowing deeply inside. And when you've received all the value from this particular gift that you were meant to receive at this time, just let me know. In the meantime, carry on exploring and accumulate that wealth of knowledge and experience that your unconscious mind has prepared for your learning today. All done? Very good. How do you feel right now, Andrew?
Free.
Free. You're feeling free, aren't you? Feeling free. What a wonderful gift to get. To feel free. Having explored the important things and being capable enough to find and use the knowledge you need for that. That's right. I'd like you to bring everything you need from this experience back with you. To help you do this, I will count from 10 down to 1. With each number, I'd like you to move along the path back towards that river where you began, only this time bringing with you all that sensation of being capable, the knowledge, and above all, that exploring is doing, and the freedom that that brings. You understand what I mean, don't you, Andrew? And because you're taking it with you back to the world outside, I wouldn't be too surprised if all those feelings just grew stronger and stronger as we carried on. You ready to come out now? 10. Stepping back on that path and feeling that feeling grow. 9. Looking forwards over to that river scene. 8. 7, that mounting strength inside, the feeling of freedom growing stronger and stronger inside you. 7, 6, 5, rushing through you, every nerve, every fiber, learning what it means to be free. 3, 2, 1, back on that scene now, back at the river and those rocks. And look, there's that mossy little rock again. But you're different now, are you not?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel right now?
Really good.
Really good. And you have the right to feel really good. Because you did something tremendous. You trusted your unconscious enough to receive a tremendous gift. And you did you not?
Mm-hmm.
Are you glad that you came?
Mm-hmm.
Was it worthwhile taking this journey?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about your unconscious now that has presented this gift to you?
More trusting.
More trusting, right? More trusting. Wonderful thing. I have a sense that you wish to enjoy this scene for a little while longer before you return back to the seminar on the ship. Because I don't want you to open your eyes back into this room any more quickly than you can take that sense of freedom and all the other lessons you learned, those gifts your unconscious gave you, and bring them back with you so that you can use them. That's right. There you go. Woo! What a rush. I think it deserves that. Good job. Good job. No, so stay here for a second. Is that okay? Just give him a few minutes just to kind of let the trance glow kind of start settling down a bit. By the way, can you see the double dip phenomenon happening right now? Can you see he's still clearly in a trance state and he's just slowly coming back to consciousness? It's a great example of it. Did you enjoy that, Andrew?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah? Do you want to take the microphone now, seeing as you're now fully capable again? Is it okay if people ask you a few questions about your experience, just to get a sense of what happened on the inside?
Yeah, absolutely.
And realize that if they at any point ask something that you don't want to talk about because it's something which is related to something personal or whatever, then just say, that's all right, I'll keep that private, that's more for me.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
So if you want to ask a question, please stand up, and then assistants, can you run around with mics to give someone the mic to ask a question? So question in the back here or front? Just stand up so we can actually see who actually wants the mic. Or are you having no curious questions at all? Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask you, when you laughed at the beginning, was it more related to what's happening like right here, or was it more related into the experience you were having down there?
One of the things that I've noticed after doing a number of different workshops and stuff with hypnosis is that for me, almost an instant tell of when somebody else is putting me into a trance, so to speak, or guiding me into that place, I start getting like this smile. But once I start realizing that smile comes along, that's when like a laugh will come, because there's a piece of me that says, "Oh, you're there."
You're getting
I know,
exactly,
I know what you are talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, guys, if the idea that your client's laugh concerns you, please get over it very quickly, because you will be seeing a lot of laughter over the next few days, right? I think it's a great thing. In fact, I remember one client who had this strange thing that he would be totally serious. As soon as the trance started, he would be laughing like a schoolgirl for the entire session. And as soon as you brought him back, it would stop, like someone just switched the button off. It was,
Oh yeah.
it was a very strange thing. So laughter is a great thing. And in this case, it wasn't even disturbing at all. It's just a laugh for recognition. Would that be fair to say? Great. Other questions? In the back, right at the back here, please. Someone can right at the back. Nice and quick in the back here. Who's going to get here first? And if one of you guys can come forward again. Joe, can you come forward? This gentleman here will be next. Carry on.
Yeah, good hustle, guys. I just wanted to ask if you felt at any point like Igor was kind of forcing anything at all with the visualizations or anything, because it seemed to me observing that you were kind of pushing him a little bit at some points, and like not in a bad way, but did it sort of jar you at all, or?
Not from my perspective. What I noticed is that the more that he paced what was going on visually, I was putting images and putting my own personal memories and content into that. So like, for example, like the cave was part of a movie that I really, really liked that had a significant meaning to me. And the rock with the moss was, from my grandparents' ranch. And the stream was something that was really more of hallucination, so to speak. But I think that his guidance just kind of helped me put these pieces put a visual into the words that he was saying.
May I ask you, you can't have a mic already, I'm taped to it. Would it be fair to say that the experience that you had, rather than the question of being forced through a set of experiences, was more, you felt a sort of pressure that kind of popped you more into that experience, make it a little more real? Would that be an accurate description, or would it be different for you?
Yeah, it felt, to use the hose analogy again, it was very much similar like that.
So, and this is an important point, because you're not trying to browbeat or force clients into anything, because then you get resistance. What you are doing is very eloquently putting pressure on certain things that will allow more unconscious responses to flow. And we'll talk more about that later. This is more about his experience, and then we'll talk more about the mechanics of this, so you get that too. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
So my basic question is...
Can you just step a little bit to the side so we can actually see? There you go.
Yeah. So my basic question is, do you remember the entire experience, or are there things that you don't remember? And the second question is, what are you feeling right now?
How's he not going to remember what he doesn't remember?
That was going to be my first comment. And then what was the second question?
What are you feeling right now?
Right now I'm feeling like I came to kind of a big understanding about a lot of different things with that, because that cave had a specific significance from the movie that it was in and kind of what it represented in the movie. And the flashlight was really, very, very much a tool of ability that was stuck in a cave and not being used.
Perfect. And notice how to us, we could probably read into it some meanings, and you might go, flashlight? What the hell's a flashlight? I wanted like singing dancing girls. Go find something better, right? But we can't put our fish into their dreams, right? We have to work, and this is why I prefer even getting him to give me the sanctuary right up front, even if I'm going to recreate a new one, because the reference experiences is what's important. That tells the unconscious mind, build something wonderful. And whatever comes out, that's going to be that. It's going to invest a lot of meaning in it, right? Yeah. And would it be fair to say that most of the things that you experienced that were very meaningful, even though you won't necessarily want or could describe all of them?
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Quick question over here. Can we have the microphone forward? That's it.
Like Igor said, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. When the flashlight led to the books, so does it have anything to do with your past in which you wish you had learned more or studied more? Or looking forwards, you're wanting to learn more, or schooling-wise or education-wise, I don't know, wherever it fits?
That's a great question, because I think that would be a perfect example of kind of how an easy read into that could lead to that. For me, I think that's what it meant was like the flashlight was kind of analogous to going to seminars and a kind of having the ability to acquire more knowledge. And then once I saw the books, and I'd realized that I'd read all the books. I mean, I've been doing a lot of I've lived in the seminar industry for a number of years. I love studying. It's like a hobby of mine, basically. So once I'd realized that I'd read all these books, it was kind of hey, you know what? You've got all these great tools, you've got all this great knowledge, but it's hiding away in a cave right now. And to have that flashlight was the only way that I was able to, kind of come to that realization, so to speak. So now it was time to leave the cave and go out and explore.
Allow me to pause here again and just notice. Do you see how sophisticated and eloquent the little journey that his unconscious mind created for him was, right? I could not have planned that if I'd wanted to. I could not have invested such deep, meaningful significance in it if I'd spent 2 weeks analyzing every little nuance in his childhood and, putting it together into some wonderful induction process. Luckily, I'm also lazy, which means Andrew gets to do all the work, and is so much better at that point, right? Because who knows Andrew better than his unconscious mind, right? So thank you for that. We have one more question in the back here. Oh, this gentleman here right at the back. Can we get a microphone back? Oh, we'll just come up and take this one, and then meanwhile someone will come up for you as well.
Just a quick question about the experiences that you were actually having. I mean, you just sort of gave us a brief analysis of what was going on at that time. do you think that that all this stuff was going on while you were going through the processes, or do you think that as you were analyzing it now that you were able to come up with all these things?
A lot of it was clicking. There was a piece of it, and I think that this is kind of a common thing with hypnosis. When you hear somebody else kind of using hypnosis, there's the conscious part of you that's like, ooh, I like that, or something, you know, that kind of piece of you. Well, there was like that analytic part of me that was still very, very quiet, but to me, it was very clearly piecing together what the flashlight meant once I saw the books, and then once I realized that I had seen the book, once I had realized that I'd read the books, then it was kind of piecing together, but it wasn't enough of a conscious effort to take me out of the experience. Does that make sense?
I think so. Thanks.
And this gentleman over here, just click it up. Thank you.
Yeah, the two scenery, one is your own, the stream, the next one is the cave. And when the cave scenery was given to you, how do you connect the two, and what was your unconscious mind telling you these two? How were they connected?
Well, basically, because I think it started, because he asked, he said, you see something over there, and the only thing that I could see beyond the stream was like the bush, basically, and I couldn't really tell what the rock was. But then once I started going over towards the rock, then seeing the rock, and then after, you know, on the other side of the rock was the little path. So it was kind of a, you know, once he started kind of applying that pressure for it, then I went from not knowing that it was a rock to seeing that it was a rock to seeing what was now around the rock, and then seeing that what was around the rock led to a cave.
So in a moment we'll talk about why we did all those things and how they work, hypnotically speaking. Right now it's just make sure that you just get your curiosity satisfied as to Andrew's experience, because it's an important stepping point in our process right now. Do you all get a good sense of, in terms of what Andrew experienced and so on? Yeah? Can we release Andrew back into the wild? Yeah. Give a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. I've got it. All right, folks. So let's talk a little bit about what just happened, and then we'll set up the first part that you can start doing yourself. We'll do it in portions, so you'll start off, and we'll add for more things as we go along. Is that okay with you guys? So, the first thing we should look at is, let's just move these chairs around a little bit. Would it be fair to say, can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me okay in the back? Okay, just the sound seems to have come down a bit. The first thing to look at is those 3 steps. It's basically what you've been doing in the morning, right? It's easy to get someone to describe enough scenes that are of safety, and in this case of nature also, that you can piece together a brand new scene for them. Is that fair to say? And you saw it happening right here with Andrew, correct? So we're checked on that one? Okay. Now, what made that particular scene a place of safety, a sanctuary, is the fact that we asked ahead of time about memories of places that were safe, that were of sanctuary. That means that when I suggest it afterwards, it's more likely to be accepted as such. Does that also make sense? Yes? So what are we doing when I'm saying, can you recall some pleasant scenes you had in memory, or some memories in nature? We felt safe, I had a good time. What am I doing when I'm asking a question along those lines? Any ideas? Go ahead. So Tim's answer is priming the unconscious, 100%. I am priming them. I am preparing them to get a certain class of response, right? Let me put it this way to you. If I were to sit someone down to watch a horror movie, then I walk in and say, are you ready to be hypnotized? What are the chances that they're going to have a less than pleasant experience if I don't necessarily suggest anything directly to them? High or low? That's 3 people in the room. Try it again. Okay, high. If, on the other hand, someone were to watch a movie of someone who has been through a real tough time but then triumphs, comes out of it the other end, better, stronger, happier, what are the chances that when I do a non-specific trance, it's a general trance for them to solve their own problems, that they will end up solving their own problems? High or low? High again. So when we are priming people, when I'm asking for a specific kind of memory, I'm telling the unconscious mind something's going to happen, right? Now, I may even do that by saying, look, we're going to go through this wonderful scene, and then some stuff's going to happen which is going to be very important for you. What have I just done? I have implied stuff, actually said it right out. I have set the scene mentally so that basically of all the possibilities that they can have in trance, I'm beginning to narrow it down to something that's going to be useful or functional for that trance. Does that kind of make sense? So we set the scene up, he goes into it, having a great time. You saw that, right? It was pleasant. It is no different to what you've already done. Would that be fair to say? Then we did the orienting response. In this case, what did we orient towards? What did we find? Yeah, but what was it? A rock with moss, correct? Did I know that's going to be there? No. Did he know that's going to be there? That's why we ask for it. Because as soon as, think about what happened here. If I say, what's that over there? And this is a typical example where at first they're not sure, and then with encouragement and a little bit of pressure, it becomes more clear. But as soon as the unconscious mind populates part of that trance experience, what do you think has just occurred? It's made it more real. The unconscious mind is taking responsibility for that trance. It's now in cooperation with me. I don't have to force it anymore. I don't have to be particularly good with my language. I don't have to be particularly eloquent with my words to paint the scene so they can really experience it. As soon as their unconscious mind starts filling it with stuff, other stuff will automatically follow, which was, in Andrew's example, he gave a great a demonstration of this when he said he couldn't see the rock at first, but when he got closer, what did he see also? The surrounding area. Did I suggest any of that? No. The unconscious mind is now basically taking responsibility for that for him. It's kind of like putting him in holodeck, and it's doing it, it's creating it for him. I now no longer have to work so hard. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, so what the orienting response really is for me, it's a hidden test to see, have I got the unconscious mind on board? Do I need it? No. I can do the exact same work with the exact same result conversationally without any mention of any of this stuff. No sanctuary, no orienting or anything like that. But I have to be much better, and I have to work much harder for it. Does that make sense? If they pass the orienting response, then it's easy. I know that they can do it already. If they do not, then I have to do my work around there first to get them to that point, because that's a fundamental skill that the unconscious mind will need before anything else can happen. Does that make sense? So, we had the orienting response. That's my test. I now know the unconscious mind is playing ball. It's willing to create environments for me, right? Or for him, actually, really, in this induction. So the next step here I asked him to find a path. Right? Now, when I'm asking him to find that path, what did I do? Did I just say find a path that goes somewhere? Or did I do something else? Which was it? Something else, right? Does everyone agree? Or were you in a different room? What was that something else? Any ideas? Path that went somewhere significant. Did you all catch that? Yes? Why did I ask for that? Why did I say where this path is going to lead? Any ideas? Priming the unconscious. Again, I want something... Andrew, may I ask, would it be fair to say that what happened up here was significant to you? Yeah. Right? I want that to happen. So why would I suggest it at the end when it's all over? If I set it up ahead of time, if I prime it, then that path will only be constructed by the unconscious mind to someone that will be significant. Does that make sense? I could say, oh, you can go to a path somewhere else and then try and make it more significant, and it could work. But if I pre-frame it that way, if I set the conditions up ahead of time, then the path that he will find is the one that will lead to somewhere else. By finding the path, it's an unconscious acceptance of the presupposition, the presumption. Does that make sense to everyone? And it's casually thrown in. So by finding the path and creating the path, I know that the unconscious mind is already beginning to lay the scene behind it. The reason for a 10-to-1 count, moving them along, is to give the unconscious mind some time to start selecting the appropriate things for him at that point. And you'll notice that as I'm counting from 10-to-1, I am putting more emphasis on this idea that something significant, something important is going to happen, and that he'll find something symbolic there. He will find something there. Does that make sense? And there'll always be something there. Occasionally a client goes, oh, there's nothing, right? Well, nothing basically means to them, well, describe the scene. Well, there's nothing. Well, describe. What do you see? What do you sense? Well, it's kind of dark. Oh, so you're in a dark place. A dark place is different to nothing, isn't it? But if they see a dark place and interpret it as being nothing consciously, they've now interfered with the process, and that's why they can't get beyond it. Does that make sense? So what do we do as soon as they give us anything? You echo it right back again. That's right. There is that rock. And once again, Andrew, would you agree that when I echoed the idea of the rock, for example, or the path, did the rock seem more real as a result of that? Did it become more, shall we say, tangible for you?
I remember liking the fact that it was being repeated to me, but I don't remember why.
Okay. So Andrew is saying that he remembers the fact that he enjoyed that it was being repeated to him, but not necessarily why or what the response was. It's more vague for you at this point, right? Which is just fine. Okay? Can we have a mic right up here, please, quickly?
So you're saying that we should also echo the fact that they say nothing, but then just try and pull more from them.
Now, whenever you echo something, what are you doing? Where attention goes, energy flows, is it not?
Yeah.
So are you going to echo the fact that they think they failed? It's a bit of a dilemma there, isn't it?
Right.
So what do we do at that point? Any ideas? You could leave it, but then you're kind of ignoring something that could still, you know, like the elephant in the room that grows and grows.
So you could say something like, so what else is there?
You redirecting your attention, excellent.
Sort of totally ignore what's going on in that part.
So instead of ignoring it, how about you assume that it's exactly what is meant to be there? So when someone says there's nothing there, what if you've echoed back, that's right, it really seems like there's nothing there, doesn't it? What have I just done? I've created a conscious dissociation. I've induced a little bit of doubt. It seems as nothing's there. And I'm still in control as far as they're concerned. It's like, what did I miss? And that's what I want. That's what I need from them. Because if they're sure about the fact there's nothing there, how can they go looking for something of significance to them? Right? But as soon as I say, that's right, it seems something's there, and they accept the idea, and they won't necessarily do that straight away. As soon as that happens, they will start searching for something. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want to click the mic off as well? So, we have the nature scene, the place of sanctuary. We build it up. We orient them into it to make it more real. We're echoing it constantly to build that. We find a path which has implications about going somewhere where they will find or discover something of great importance to them. And we emphasize this. How do we emphasize this? By echoing, or really we're not echoing because I'm already suggesting it. He's not actually said that to me. What I'm doing is I'm wallowing in it. I'm saying it again and again and again and again. This is not a one-shot deal, folks. Right? This is not a one-shot deal. Once we've established the idea of the path, then they can start to travel along it, and you're using the 10 to 1 count. You're using the 10 to 1 count as a means of pacing them through it and adding further suggestions, further implications that great things are about to happen. Does that make sense? Oh, the purpose of using counting is the question. There is not. You can do it without counting. What we've done with this as a process is I am putting as many things in there as possible to make your life easier, right? What the counting does, it stretches the journey out and allows you to pace that journey. So instead of rushing into something where they're where they may not find something because it's too quick for them, they get time to build it up at the unconscious level, right? Do you need it? No. You can have a different process. You just tell me when you get the other end, right? You can do that too. It's just a way of being able to pace it and layer more suggestion in at each step of the pacing. That's all, right? Remember, you can achieve virtually anything in hypnosis with virtually any tool. Some tools and some setups will make life easier for you. Others, you'll just have to work a bit harder for it. That's all, right? So there's no magic in this setup. It's just been set up for you to make it easier for you to be able to control the internal environment. Make sense? Finally, oh, let's do that again. Now they arrive at that, whatever that place is, and you orient them to it. Now, am I going to orient them by saying, look at those lovely trees, and look at that lovely window over there, and the car zipping by? Am I going to do that? No, because I have no idea where he's gone. I can't have any idea because I want his unconscious mind to create it for me. So I need to be ambiguous, shall we say, when asking him to orient that, which means him to make it real for himself, or her if it's a female client. Right? How do we do it? It's very simply. What do you see? What do you sense? You'd like to, shall we have a couple of questions that will help you with this? Let's see how we can do this one here, or we'll just go there. Why am I asking what do you see, what do you sense? Why don't you just ask, what do you see? Right, because he may not be able to see something. Maybe he'll come through in a different channel, right? They might get, oh, it's a strange thing. I feel like I'm in a warm place. It's kind of furry, but I can't really see anything yet. Some people aren't very visually oriented. We'll talk about more of that in a moment, right? Another question, and we didn't need to ask at this point, is to simply start giving them binary choices. You want binary choices because if you give them one choice only, it may become a suggestion and now you're interfering again with the scene the unconscious mind created. Does that make sense? So a simple binary choice, for example, is inside, outside. Now I didn't need this because Andrew already created the scene before he actually took the journey, which made it real easy for me, right? But if I don't know where they've ended up, I just say, what do you see, what do you sense? Pause, it might be a salutation. Are you inside or outside? I don't know, it feels kind of like outside, but I can't really tell, right? So you're outside. You're not sure, but you are outside. Do you see where we're going with this? Another nice binary choice is, are you alone or with others? And really between these three questions, these three binary choices, you should be able to create a very simple scene and it'll sort of emerge. Does that make sense? Is every step of this easy to do? You've already done everything up to, you've already done all that segment above, right? And the segment below, it's really a kind of repetition with some nuances thrown in, isn't it? So, let's have a look. So what we're going to do, I only want to spend 5 minutes apiece, so 10 minutes in total, doing this part of the journey. I don't care what happens afterwards. I don't care about finding a symbol or doing anything with a symbol. All you want to do is get them into your first level of sanctuary. Find something that orients them there to make it more real. That's all stuff you already did before, right? And then this time, you're going to find another path that leads somewhere else. You're going to take them there. And as soon as that becomes more real to them, whether they can see it or not is irrelevant, then you'll bring them back out of trance. And that's enough for this moment. Does that make sense to you guys? Is that easy to do? There's a big quick question over there. Do you want to stand up so we can get a mic to you?
Yeah. So what if the experience is so kinesthetic? You stay with
so
the
what?
Okay, so can you give an example of how you would continue?
How would you continue?
I would stay with the kinesthetic and say something like, you know, so why did you need to feel that?
In time, when we actually get to that point, and actually we haven't gone all the way to actually getting the symbol and so on, we can ask them, why do you want to feel that, and so on. For the moment, all you want to do is get them there. Are they there? Are you done? Right? That's all. It's really simple, folks. Anything extra you try, any questions you may have in your mind right now, probably because you're trying to do too much. all I want you to do is, let me ask you this. Can all of you create a nice simple place of sanctuary? Yes? Yes? There you go. Can all of you make them find something within that place that wasn't there before? Yes? You've done that already. Can you all then make them find a path, which really is exactly the same thing, only limited down to a kind of a pathway? Yes? Can you imply that that path leads somewhere important? Yes? Can you count from 10 down to 1? No. Can you count from 10 down to 1 and then make sure that they end up somewhere? Yes? Can you ask a few simple questions to find out what that new place looks like, feels like, sounds like, is like? Yes? You're done. That's it. 5 minutes apiece, 10 minutes in total. Same partner. Off you go. I'll put the time up on the wall. So how was that, folks? What kind of experiences did you have? Interesting? Gentleman in the back, do you want to just stand up so we can get a mic to you? Stand up. Yeah. Just get a mic to this gentleman over here, please. Thank you. On your right, that's it. This gentleman right there. Hand it to him. Take it.
Okay.
It's yours.
I only want...
There you go.
You said, how was the experience?
Can you lift it up a bit? Yes.
It was pleasant.
Was it a pleasant experience, right?
Pleasant experience.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
Were you surprised by anything that occurred as a subject?
Yes. These things are in the present in my mind, but an old notebook came to my mind that from my early school days, and then it turned into an iPad.
Of course it did. You're updating your old reference points, right? Beautiful. But notice how quick and simple symbology starts coming out, which has a lot of significance. This gentleman in the front here, do you want to stand up so we can get a mic to you? Yeah. And please, again, step away from the mic, the speakers a bit, so we...
Quite bizarre, really, because I felt very emotional.
You felt very emotional. Can I just pause a second? Anyone else here feel very emotional as a result of the experience?
Yeah.
You're in good company. It's a very typical thing.
It was it went to a tree, and the tree had nothing underneath it. It was as though the sun couldn't get to the grass to let it grow. And at that particular time, you pulled us out of it, so... so that was the problem.
Denied!
But maybe next time.
So this tree was in the new scene, is that correct?
Yes. No,
okay.
It wasn't. That was the start of it.
Oh, you just started in the sanctuary.
Yes.
And this is beautiful. So remember I said you can achieve anything with anything else, right? It's just a question of how hard you work for it. Why do we bother going from one sanctuary to the next orientation point? Why do we have two different scenes? You don't really need them. In this example, it clearly seems like that tree has some very deep significance, and there is something that can occur, and as that happens with that tree, great things will happen to you also. We'll explore that after lunch. So you don't need that extra journey. That extra journey is just there so you can stabilize the process more. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? Because with each layer that you go into it, that reality allows the unconscious mind more freedom to kind of express itself. It's a bit like that movie. What was that movie called? Where they had all the dreams, the different layers of the dreams? Inception, thank you. It's a little bit like Inception. Each time you add an extra layer, the unconscious mind is taking more responsibility for that layer, which means it becomes more real to the person, and the things that happen inside of that layer will be more powerful or impactful on the person. You can actually collapse those layers so it all happens at one. In fact, you can do it conversationally. However, to do it conversationally will require quite a bit more skill and nuances than it does when you have it in a formal trance. So this is where we learn it, so you can use it this way. And in time, you can let go of the formal trance parts and make it a more natural conversational experience too. So they need never know they've gone on a journey. It's just something you talk about. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? Do you want to stand up a second so we can get a mic to you?
So with that, am I understanding correctly that you could, for example, when they start, go for mine, so they go into a cave and they see a TV, and on the TV there's a story that's being told, and within this story there's another story that's being told. So is that what you mean by like the multiple...
The layers are very simple. You've already had the experience of two layers. The first one was the sanctuary. The second one was when they arrive at point 5. Your cave was the second layer because that was entirely generated by the unconscious. The first layer was the sanctuary, which was half created by the unconscious and half teased out of it. Make sense? And if you went to the cave and I sent you to a third place, that idea of depth continues and then impounds or compounds, shall we say, the experience that people are having. Does that make
perfect.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So just click it off again, thanks. So you don't need any of this, right? We could very easily have had exactly the same experience starting from the mossy rock by the river or the stream that was running through, right? We could allow things to merge in those places just as well. It's just I would have to work more because I introduced a lot of those elements myself. Does that make sense? The more I get my subject to do the work for me, the more he takes responsibility for that trance and that trance process, the more I just have to imply, sit back, and wait for him to do the work. And I want him to do the work. I can't do it for him anyways. Does that help you guys? We have a gentleman up here waiting, and then we'll have a microphone for this lady afterwards. Go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't get to the cave.
Let me just pause a second. The cave?
Well,
the second place, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what did happen?
We got to a tree where there was something very significant, and I couldn't get.
Okay, so let me just pause. So you had an initial scene which was felt safe and good to you, is that correct?
Yes. Or I'd actually gone on to several scenes, yes.
Oh, you have gone to several different scenes?
Yes.
So you've already done that several times?
Right.
So I'm not sure where the problem is.
Okay.
So literally, if you've gone from, here, let me just do this in a picture way, that might help more, right? Let's say we start off with a simple scene. In this case, it was a river. What was your scene?
We started on a windy path.
A nice and a windy path, okay? Fine. So then we find one thing in here that wasn't there before that basically tells me the unconscious mind has now created something, right? So far, so good? Now we take a path to another scene. And something is found in there, right? Now, if you wanted to, you could keep doing this process again and again and again, each time finding things there, right? Whoops. Now, there's nothing to say that just because it occurred here, it's any better or worse than here or here, except that I've implied it. So if you found a tree and that tree was of great significance to you, even though you don't necessarily know what it means yet or have gone through that, we're not at that stage yet, we were doing the warm-up act at this point, then whether you found that tree here or here or here or somewhere else is 100% irrelevant. Recall the promise I made yesterday, which is if you think you know what's expected of you, chances are you'll have missed the point. So how can you feel bad about or think you failed at something when you probably succeeded at things you actually need to be doing, even though the thing you thought you should be doing, there's that word again, isn't it? Thought. Does that help?
Thank you.
The lady over here.
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't have a terribly positive experience.
You didn't have a positive experience, okay?
It was okay. It was a little irritating.
Okay.
And I think it was because we started off at the beginning, sort of doing what we had done prior. So he took me to the same place, and then I think I ended up feeling sort of pushed to where I needed to be. And then when I got there, I was irritated.
So there is a subtle art, and this is great. Did anyone else feel that as well? It's okay. It's just part of what we do. Remember, in here we want to make those mistakes, not with the clients, right? There is a subtle line between putting pressure on someone in a friendly manner, where they feel supported, and pushing them, forcing them through something. Do you understand the distinction? You will all, at some point, fall on the wrong side of that line. I have many times, and I've come close to being slapped for it, okay? It's going to happen. When it does happen, learn from it. Ask yourself, what could I have done differently to encourage the person? Think of it more like this. Imagine you're a parent, and you have a child, right? You can encourage a child in a way that's fun, it's friendly, but really kind of gets them motivated, or you can push them, which some parents end up doing, right? You are treating the person as a child in that sense, where it's encouragement they want, it's enthusiasm. Do you notice how when we're doing the loops here, the wallowing, the echoing effect, I'm not going, So there's that rock. There's that rock. That's a rock there, right? There's a rock. There's a rock. Look at that rock. You can see that rock. You can see the rock, right? Or even if you can't see it yet, can you? You can't see it yet. Not yet, right? But look closely. It's there. It's there. You can see it. You see how that's really pushy and my whole tonality changes? Now, I'm not saying that this has happened in your experience. I'm over-exaggerating it for a point. Compare that to a much more relaxed approach, which still builds the pressure up. So there's a rock there. There's a rock. Did you know it was going to be there? No. Yet there it is. There's a rock. What a wonderful thing to have a rock in this wonderful place. Do you see how that's a very different experience for the person? Now, if I happen to see the person getting a little irritated, do you know what the magic words are? Any ideas? What just happened? What is that? Right? If you can see your client's responses, which you should be able to watch, there's nothing wrong with you talking to them. That's the whole point of this exercise, right? Find out what's happening. And then, if they're getting irritated or they don't like it or maybe something frightening is happening, you'll have information to be able to deal with that. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? So can we just move the microphone forward a second? Does that help? Yes. Up. Click up.
I got to a treasure chest.
Cool. That's fantastic.
But I couldn't tell what was in it.
That's fine. You guys are ahead of it. Let me put it this way. Let's remember what we were asking you guys to do. Did you find a scene of nature where you felt safe in? Yes? Yes. Come on, folks. Yes? Yes. Okay. Did you get a little orienting response? You found something in there that was unexpected? Yes? Yes. Okay. Did you find a path that led somewhere else? Yes? Yes. Did you go to this other place? Yes? Yes. Did you arrive in this other place? Yes? Yes. Did you notice what this other place looked like or felt like or sounded like? Yes? Yes. You're done. Everything extra is extra. So you did more than you realized. So congratulations. You're working faster than most other people. Do you want to pass it back again? Just stand up so that we can get the mic to you.
Sometimes when I talk to people, I encounter someone who says that they are not able to imagine things, that they can't see it. So, yeah, that's the question, basically.
It is a great question. Would you like to know the answer to that? Yes. Well, you better come back after lunch. Because something tells me that there's hunger going on here, a hunger for more knowledge. Before we go for lunch, one exercise I want you to do as you're leaving here. In the right-hand corner over there, just by the exit doors, you'll find the graffiti wall. I would like all of you, either at the beginning of lunch or the end of lunch, to go over there and symbolically write some graffiti, a doodle, a little picture, something that represents what this morning has meant to you. It might be something from what you saw in the actual induction or you experienced there. It might be something completely different. I don't care, but I want you to place it on the wall there. But do it in a meaningful way, so something that you really think about because it's important to you. Does that make sense? No one else needs to know what it means, but when you look at it, you need to know what it means, right? All right, guys, lunch is going to be 1 hour and a quarter, as we said yesterday. It is now 1:25. Let's aim to be back here at 2:25, so we can start at 22 on the dot. All right, guys, off you go.